G'day guys and welcome to FanCast, where we have a proper footy chat. We're here at the wonderful St Kilda Sporting Club here. A lot of history here at the club and we are so grateful to be here. G'day guys and welcome to FanCast, where we have a proper footy chat. We're here in the wonderful location in St Kilda, your home turf. Here, Jakey, how you doing today?
I'm good. I've repped the logo, if the cameras can see. Only place I can walk around and people don't look at me and think, what a wanker. I'm actually like part of the furniture here now, which is really nice.
We don't belong here, Steve-o.
No, certainly not in Hawthorn, yeah.
But we've got a lot of brown behind us.
Yeah.
I hope for that sort of...
Beautiful setup.
It is a beautiful setup, 100%, guys. So we've got a bit to talk about on the agenda this week. We're going to have a few things. Now, I guess we can start off, talking about various people's clubs. My club was in the news a lot over the last couple of weeks. Of course, it's the Essendon Bombers playing with the Essendon Edge and very soon into the game last week. Poor 2-metre Peter just could not stop himself from colliding into Cunningham, and now everyone's talking about the Essendon Edge and how shit it is and whether or not we're going to be able to continue it moving forward. Yeah, what did you guys reckon about
Which
that?
St Kilda player are you going to knock out this week?
Well, it won't be 2-metre Peter at least, so he's out enjoying his holiday, which I think was a little bit unfair. I think you're on the same page with me.
Yeah, I wasn't a fan of the suspension. I mean, I think it was probably a week or two, but I think 4 weeks was certainly a bit too far. But I think we know now with due to the Maynard and Brayshaw situation, I think that the tribunal and these sort of cases are just going to be a lot stricter on certain actions on the footy field, whether we like it or not. So, but the AFL just trying to protect the players. So it's just one of those things where you have to move on, but you just think, gee, I thought it was a bit too much.
Could he not have spoiled the ball? Could he not have done something else?
I mean,
that's the question, isn't it?
Yes, that's the question. Correct. And because looking at it in slow-mo, maybe you can say he has.
And people say he's got his eyes on the ball, which yes, he does. He's a forward. That's what he's got to do. But his eyes on the ball there, he would absolutely be aware of oncoming traffic, wouldn't he?
If you're fully invested in the ball, and then perhaps it might take an extra fraction of a second for them to come into view. It moves at a very fast pace. He was running full tilt. He's a big man. Obviously, 2-metre Peter. He's not less than 2 meters. I think he might be 2.0 something meters tall, but it's very hard for him to stop. And could he have done something else? I mean, looking at it in slow motion, perhaps. But
if he had have gone for the spoil, but then the same outcome happened, do you think he still gets 4 weeks?
I mean, what happens if he marked it and he still
knocks him out? Does he still get 4 weeks?
You know what I mean? He still owes him a duty of care, does he not? Isn't that argument of the duty of care still there in full effect? Like, so what if you've marked the ball? There's a duty of care to your teammate, to this opposition, and you've knocked him out cold. I personally think that he did everything he could to avoid trying to hit him high because he'd already gone for it. And then he sort of turned his body away. He opened himself up a bit by turning and bracing. If he had continued running straight into the path of the footy, that shoulder of his was colliding with his face. Instead, it turned it to be a chest collision, which is substantially better than if he was to keep running through with it full tilt with his shoulder to the side. To me, it just felt like, no, he has to open himself up to injury himself in order to avoid this guilty verdict of him having a duty of care to someone else.
Did Essendon screw up by they went into the tribunal and said, we're here to accept the 3 weeks? Should they have gone a bit... Should they have really backed him a bit more and
100% they should
been a bit more ballsy about it and go, we want 1 week.
For sure.
But they said, we'll take 3, and then you got 4 anyway.
Yeah, that was pathetic. That was pathetic. If you're gonna argue a case, argue your best case.
Yeah.
You miss 100% of the shots you don't take. I thought that was really poor form. And you can see the guy was clearly shell-shocked. He wasn't very happy with how things were going. He was asked some really tough questions, and never once was the point being, I was trying to mark the ball ever raised as a point. And it's just like, you're just coming out admitting guilt. Guilt for what? Guilt of, yes, I did collide with him and I had other options. No, the whole point of your case was I tried to win the football. I braced myself as a form of self-defense. I couldn't have done anything more to reduce his injury. And that would have been, I think, enough for him to try and possibly overturn it.
Yeah.
Now, Brad Scott says otherwise. Brad Scott says our lawyers just couldn't get it done, but I think they should have contacted the Carlton lawyers and how Paddy Cripps was able to leave and collide with someone's head and still win a Brownlow. I think we clearly got wrong lawyers here.
I think one thing to remember as well is that we all played footy as juniors back in the day, I'm sure. So you got to think as well, when you're playing, stuff happens so fast where on TV we're seeing replays upon replays upon replays. But as the player, and Peter Wright's been training to be an AFL footballer for how long? He's probably been playing. He's probably been playing footy, Auskick for about 20 years.
Yep.
And he's obviously drafted pretty highly. And this goes for all AFL players. You would have been training for years and then you would know the right action to go through in each contest because Peter Wright's probably gone through that sort of contest before in his career. Now, maybe it was like 6 years ago where it was a similar incident, but whether it was a mark instead or a spoil, just something a bit different. So just something to keep in mind where it's hard for the player to react that quickly to such a really accidental incident. So it's just a bit unlucky, but that's
you can take an illicit substance and get less weeks than Peter Wright. That's a bit
exactly. Like I've had some discussions
contradiction, isn't it?
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Like I've had a bit of backwards and forwards on my channel, on the Centre Bounce on YouTube, where people are saying that he owes a duty of care and that he could have done a bunch of other things and he had to keep his eye on the ball. Like I think he's done all of those things. And one thing that someone that we aren't talking enough about is if we want to have courage in the game, courage is only courage when you're risking something.
Yeah.
And these players have incredible feats of backing into the play because they know that if they do that, they're willing to take the risk of copping an injury. They're putting themselves in harm's way, and we laud them for it because it's something that we ourselves might not be willing to do for the sake of, because obviously self-preservation tends to be the natural instinct. But for these players to go above and beyond for their football team and put their bodies on the line, putting themselves in the line of fire, that is incredibly courageous. And it's not something that everybody can do.
Sometimes courage can be stupid though.
Agreed.
Yeah,
100%.
And
John O'Brien, perfect example.
John O'Brien ruined his career being courageous. He had that label. He put that on himself. I am that guy.
Yep.
I'm willing to end my career to take that spectacular mark. But then you're kind of like, but if you don't and someone else does it, or maybe you lose the game, but you get to play another 5 years or whatever, is it worth it? Like where does it cross that line of absolute stupidity? Like, yeah, Peter Wright had a duty of care, but I mean, Cunningham probably had a duty of care on himself to be like, look, I'm probably going to get knocked out doing what I'm doing.
Yeah.
But everyone loves it. And people want to see it in the game. But at the same time, if he never plays again, which he will, but hypothetically, if he never plays again, people would then say, well, maybe he shouldn't have gone for that. That's one. It's a contested mark on the wing. That doesn't decide the game.
You never know what's going to happen. Like, I know I see incidences where players sort of shrug away from going back to the flight of the ball. And, some fans are going to, there's a lot of fans out there, they're going to call them really scared of the contest, that sort of thing. But we don't know how these sort of instances are going to pan out. And I mean, if he doesn't have, he didn't have concussion for that player just because they didn't go for that specific instance. So you sort of see a bit of, like for me personally, I sort of give the player, fair enough. He's probably going to cop a bit of stick for going a bit soft there, but it extends your career and you've got to protect yourself as a player more than a game of football. Like that's the thing at the end of the day.
Yeah, no, I completely understand what you're saying.
And was there a free kick paid after that situation?
No, it wasn't a free kick. The umpire said play on.
Oh, it was a play on? Okay.
And then it was a play on, and it was only stopped because he was on the ground that they had to stop the play. Yeah. The trainers came out and they had to get him off the field. But at that point in time, there wasn't even a free kick paid.
Yeah.
It was just a play on. Now, 2 minute Peter, he's suffered a shoulder injury, and that's probably the reason why that he's No, before that. So he'd come back with a shoulder injury that he's been nursing from last year. And he's probably over aware of that. And that might be part of the reason why he turned to sort of protect that shoulder that he suffered an injury from. Thankfully, he did that because the situation could have been so much worse, as I mentioned before, had he continued to run through with it. So I think players owe themselves a duty of care. They owe their fellow teammates a duty of, and even opposition as well, a duty of care. And if we want to continue to have courageous acts of football on the field, it shouldn't come at the expense of other people around them getting rubbed out. Because if you risk, there is a colloquial saying, if you F around, you find out about it. You know what I mean? So there are some instances where we have to just simply accept that in some circumstances, it was just a pure football accident. Neither of them deserve to get suspended. Neither of them deserve to get injured, of course, as well. But if you take your chance with luck, and no surprise if you then get injured. So still kudos. I'm not trying to put down Cunningham at all. I think massive kudos for him. He's got cojones that I don't have. I'm not willing to jump in front of 2 millimeter charging at the football. So for you to be able to put the needs of your team ahead of your own self needs, that's incredible. That's courage that I just don't replicate. And I think we need to see more of that on the footy field.
Yep. Well said.
Absolutely.
All right, so that's enough of the Essendon edge.
Yeah, let's get over Essendon.
Let's get over Essendon because
there's 17 clubs, mate.
There are 17 clubs. What do you want to talk about then?
I guess we can talk about Tom Hawkins, who is coming up to his 350th game this week. So congratulations to Tom Hawkins.
Country boy.
Up against my boys, Hawthorn, this week on Easter Monday.
Oh, there it is. About me, the Hawks now. You're just jealous about me talking about the Bombers.
And speaking of 350th, Travis Boak as well.
Yes.
Didn't get his flowers last week. They got the win for him.
Yes.
Not a great turnout at the G. I think it was like low 30s.
I believe 30,000. Yep.
Yeah, good on them.
We've already done more than what normal Victorian media has done.
Did Cal Toomey do his top 349 games?
No.
Yeah,
he missed a trick there.
Yeah.
He missed a trick there. No, he didn't have enough time. He was too busy putting the top 50 together.
Is that a bit much, do you think, the 50-game ranking or the 49?
Absolutely.
Like, that's a bit...
I don't think so.
I haven't seen that done for Brownlow medalist. I haven't seen that done for Bont in his 50th, 100, 150. I mean, he's not a Brownlow medalist, but he's a significant...
Well, neither is Akos either.
In a social media world now where social
Yeah.
media is at its absolute prime right now, more people than ever are jumping on Twitter, Instagram, using the AFL.com app, where stuff like that, it'll cop a lot of attention. And it did cop a lot of engagements, that sort of thing. So I can sort of understand plus 50 is a lot easier to do than 350 or whatever. And I
just had a spare 20 minutes.
Yeah.
What, he went through every game as if he knew, like, how much research did he really put into that? He just does what umpires do and look at the stats and go, yeah, 3 votes. Like,
yeah, I think that's what he did.
Surely that's what he did.
Rank by Supercoach points probably or something. I don't know.
He's got better things to research.
Would that game last week put him at his worst game of his career?
I did it in my review. I said, well, they did the top 49. I go, I can tell you where this 50th game went.
Yeah.
That was 50th.
50th.
Oh, yeah.
I had to get that in there.
That was wonderful.
Yeah,
it wasn't that good.
He certainly struggled with the bigger bodies around,
Richie boy.
Machado Owens, you got Jack Steele, Windhager, Seb Ross, even Zach Jones went in there a little bit. So he certainly struggled with that a lot more. And St Kilda certainly put a more physical attention.
I think it proves that
Nick Dacos.
They probably rushed him in the midfield. I think he's still... They need him in halfback. I don't think he's a midfielder just yet. I think they've gotten a bit excited. He's come on very quickly, but sometimes you got to slow down a little bit.
I still think they need him in the midfield though, just due to the other bodies not standing up at the minute.
They need to rotate him though. He can't be there full time.
I agree. But I think they need to spend a little bit of time with him in the midfield because you got blokes like, as of recording, Jack Crisp was named sub. So then you got Steele Sidebottom who got dropped. I know he's not a full-time mid, but you got Pendlebury who just looks a little bit slower now.
Tom Mitchell's
really struggling.
Yeah.
DeGoey, yep. So I think Finlay McRae wasn't sub, so he'll get a full crack tonight with Lions Collingwood.
The reason why I thought Max King would get off, by the way, but
didn't
get concussed playing this week. I don't know, but anyway,
I think
I'm relieved he's out, to be honest. From a personal standpoint, I thought our chances of beating you guys this week would have been substantially less if he was playing this week. So from an Essendon perspective, I'm.
But shout out to my man Anthony Caminiti for getting back in the team this
on
week.
your camera.
We love. I love Caminiti. He's an absolute ripper. So I hope he goes
And
really well.
you think about it, it's a good week to bring a big boy like him in if the Bombers are going to try and throw fists.
He's got no issues with that.
He's got no issues doing that. So
does Ben Mackay go to Caminiti?
Oh,
probably actually.
Really?
And then unless he goes to Tim Membry, but Caminiti's bigger than Membry, so
yeah,
it's a good headache we've given Essendon by bringing in a big body like that.
Yeah, that's true.
Because we could have gone just 2 tools and then played small and rotated Owens there, but to bring him in, I think stretches
Butler's
them a
back
bit.
in this week,
and
isn't
Butler
he?
as well, yeah, and a debutant Angus Hasty.
Well,
Very surprising.
defender?
He's a halfback flanker from Geelong Falcons.
Okay.
Very good ball user, very quick. Another quick player.
So that's
good.
He just slots into Liam Henry's spot then.
Yeah, exactly. If he's not sub, he'll probably just play off the wing and rotate off the bench, I'd say.
No, that's all right.
Yeah.
What about you? How about your guys' non-biased tip on this game?
Quickly.
Essendon St Kilda.
In my preview, I said I can see this being very similar to the Swans Essendon game, except take 3 or 4 goals off the Swans and take 3 or 4 goals off the Bombers.
Yeah.
I think we won't let them kick 100 points like the Swans did,
No.
but we won't kick as many goals as the Swans. Obviously, with Max King missing, that doesn't help. But I still think we're probably a 4-goal better team. I think we're just more advanced in our transition with the new coach. I think give them another year or two. I think they'll get there. But their defensive efforts is where I think will be the difference. And our defensive efforts are elite. And on transition with Naz, Sinks, Bonner, Brad Hill, I think that's where we'll get them.
Yeah, we can't defend to save our lives.
Yeah,
so it's ridiculous.
That's really the difference right now.
Like if we could somehow, like I know we've been training it, I know we've been working it, I know Brad Scott's been trying to tinker with it. Yeah, we don't have our best defensive mix out there, but it's higher up the ground, and we are the 3rd worst team at guarding transition in the last 10 years.
Worst team in red time.
And worst team in
By
red
a
time.
mile this year.
It's been a problem that we've seen as Essendon supporters so many times that we just aren't switched on for the full 4 quarters.
Yeah.
And we see it again even this year, worse than ever before. So it's, I with that sort of, with how historically poor we are on that side of the ball, I find it hard for us to be able to win this week, let alone push the top 8, because I think the season is so, unless we see some real drastic improvement over the next few weeks, having these forwards really be switched on defensively, working hard transition ones. Like we leave so much to Zach Merritt, our captain inspirational. We need others to really go along with him. So I think the Saints win this one.
Well, you've got Darcy Parish back, I believe, this week as well.
Yes, we do.
So I think that can even things up. I'm not ruling out Essendon. I reckon Essendon could sneak a win here, but I do think St Kilda are much more oiled machine.
We just know our structure.
Yeah.
Every player, and that's a Ross Lyon-led team, right?
And Essendon certainly got a few things. They're still trying to experiment, that sort of thing. They've got Gresham, Goldstein coming into the side. I'm not sure if Draper and Goldstein were both
I think
names.
they'll both play.
Yeah, that's interesting that we've elected. I think Caminiti and Owens will chop out occasionally with Rowe.
What do you?
So we'll probably go there.
What do you honestly think? I know there's been a little bit of backlash from, I believe, Kane Corns in the AFL media with
in the ruck.
Machito Owens in the ruck. What are your honest thoughts on it?
You know what? I actually don't mind. I still think that Philippou is a mid forward and Owens is the mid. I don't see Owens as the forward, so I want him in the midfield. But last week, even against Mason Cox, he lost the tap, but he had a strategy to then rove it, and he won, I think, 3 or 4 clearances off the back of that.
Yeah.
I think that gives us another player at the ground ball, so I don't mind it. If Draper and Rowe hit it out and then Goldstein goes in and we rotate Caminiti and Owens to work him and then bring Rowe in, I think that works in our favour. So it just gives us another avenue when the ball hits the deck.
Yeah,
I don't mind it.
I reckon I'm on the fence with it because
it wouldn't be a long-term plan for me.
No, absolutely not.
Yeah.
Like we're just really waiting for Machito Owens to absolutely explode onto the scene here. I like the idea of if Marshall's having a rest, that Machito Owens around the ground does the rucking.
Or even Rowe goes forward for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
It just kind of creates another headache.
Yeah.
But
I think that could work.
But I think having Machito Owens doing centre bounce ruck contest does worry me a little bit because you're going up with the likes of Darcy Cameron this last week, going up against really strong ruckmen. And then, I mean, Todd Goldstein, for example, absolute experienced pro, and there's a lot of wear and tear in those knees where you don't want to risk certain knee knocks because we see injuries now just have been more relevant than ever before.
Thank God we have so much wood. I'm touching all of the wood in this place, mate. We need Goldie to still be right. We need Goldie to be right.
Gotta edit that sentence out, I reckon.
That's right. We'll stop there. Let's not talk anything into existence here.
I like how Joe had a crack at me for Tom Hawkins playing 350 games straight to me, and then we go back to Essendon for bloody 10 minutes.
Hey, you're the one talking about the Saints. You can't talk about the Saints without talking about the Bombers. By the way, something about the Saints that I really want to say. I love the candy coming out this week.
Yes.
I saw that. I like that. That's pretty damn good.
Yeah. No, I'm very happy with that. It's one of my favourite Guernseys. Reminiscent of the good old days in 04 when we used to just kick 50 goals a week and dominate and not win a flag, but home and away season were unbeatable.
I keep thinking of Fraser Gary when I see that. I don't know. First one that pops in my mind is
Fraser Gary and Milne's long sleeves. That's all I think about. Yeah.
Something about a long sleeve. Speaking of long sleeve, this one's a different one. Plays for your boys, all right? We're going to talk about your boys, all right? Well,
okay. Back
to you.
Let's go.
What's happening with your boys?
I don't think it's always never as bad or as good as it seems.
Correct.
So I just sort of keep it as a bit of a realist at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm.
I thought we actually played pretty all right against Essendon. I was actually pretty impressed with how we played. Just Essendon were much better at the end of the game. More experienced bodies, that sort of thing. I thought our first quarter against Melbourne, now that I wasn't very happy with at all. I did like that after the first quarter that we sort of just went, we're going to lose, so we might as well just play a regular style of play. But I just think the news throughout the week about the boring Hawks, and I'm thinking, you're basing this on one quarter. And you can't call us boring when you're doing that, when we didn't do that too much last year.
They don't have the alliteration going there. I'm disappointed.
No. We used to be the
antisocial.
Yeah, antisocial Hawks. But fair to say we're the furthest thing from that for the time being. No.
Horrendous Hawks.
Yeah, the horrendous Hawks, yeah. Yeah. So
it was a terrible one.
Yeah, loved it. So I don't know if you guys probably would have seen the game last week, but Luke Pedlar. There was about 3 or 4 occasions where he's just gone selfish mode when there was a much better option available where he would kick straight to Tom Stewart. I'm thinking, mate. And what I really didn't like out of Matthew Nicks, I saw at this Arvo, was he sort of, we had the game plan set, but we just kept kicking to Tom Stewart, just sort of giving it back to the players instead of himself, where, I mean, I know we're not going too great, but you got Sam Mitchell saying, I take full responsibility of that first quarter. I just think with Nixie, I just think you're in year 4, I think, at Adelaide.
Yeah.
Contract extension. Just think, I would like to see you get the ball rolling, because I think with no finals is a bit of a failure for Adelaide. I think this season they're at that point where they're good to go now. And I guess it brings up a question. I mean, we've only got 2 games worth of data for them, but can Laird and Crouch both be in the same midfield, or do you think, because that's been a bit of talk this week, or would you move Laird maybe more to a half forward or go back to half back where he played a lot of his career? What do you guys think?
I definitely would prefer Laird in the midfield over Crouch.
Agreed.
I wouldn't move Laird. The first person I would move would be Crouch.
Yep.
I think Laird is one of their best mids, clearance-wise, and he accumulates, and he's a good ball user. I think Crouch is probably not at the level.
So would you drop Matt Crouch?
Yeah, I would.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, I would not permanently let him earn his stripes again and come back in, but because obviously he's quality football and he's experienced, but they've got to add some more variety in there. throw Rankin. Is it Rankin? Throw Rankin in there.
Yeah.
Rankin or
Mix it up,
Rochelle.
Rochelle. They've got that explosiveness out of the contest.
100%.
That's where the best teams you see do that. They're willing to throw in the young kids, the explosive kids. We're starting to do it now. You know, the good teams start to rotate.
Yep.
I think they've used them too often. It'd be like us going into every contest with Steele, Crouch, and Ross. It's like too similar, too slow, too one paced. We would have lost last week if we didn't put in Windy and Owens and give these young and vibrant guys a go.
I think Rankin's
it's really
certainly
important.
capable.
Absolutely. I think I would absolutely give him a run in there. Not permanently, but a couple of quarters a game, it wouldn't hurt.
Yeah, because you can have Dawson. You can have Dawson as Laird as more your defensive mid.
Laird, Dawson, and Rankin. That's not bad.
Rankin can sort of start and then push up in the stop
and
into the
stoppage
hit the scoreboard
where
he can get a really good clearance. He can sort of be that outlet for Adelaide. You've got Laird in and under. I still think you could play one of Crouch or Berry in there every now and then, just to sort of be that in and under bloke. And then if you can get Dawson and or Rankin on the outside, then that can really strengthen their midfield in terms of centre clearances. It's just more their ball use that I think Dawson's so far this season has really lowered his colours at the minute, just due to that. We just knew as Jordan Dawson, really good ball use.
Closet Adelaide fan over here, eh?
Who, me?
Yeah.
No, I don't mind Adelaide.
Clearly. I think you love Adelaide by the looks of things.
Adelade's one team that's disappointed me in the first 3 weeks.
Yeah, I agree.
Be honest.
I agree.
But let's talk about, I guess, the competition as a whole in the first 3 weeks.
Yep.
The team that stood out to you and a team that you're surprised are doing so poorly. And I think we all probably have similar teams on who's surprised in terms of who's doing poorly. They're both playing tonight. But yeah.
Definitely I think Brisbane was a big surprise.
Yeah.
For me, Collingwood, Collingwood could have either gone one of two ways, you know, in terms of the way they were going to go. So were they either going to back it up or were they going to have a premiership hangover? For me, I did think that they were going to have a hangover. I think they've got quite a few people in there that can be a bit loose.
And I'm happy they got the job done.
100%. Movies.
That cinema thing was a bit, to me, that was a bit self-indulgent.
Like, bro, you're not the first team to win a premiership. Make a movie
like
out
a
of
doco.
it.
Like, I get if we did it. Like, that makes sense. But a team that's won equal most premierships in the comp at the moment? 16 or something. It's
I think every club though does they get Fox
night.
Footy. Oh no, they did it more in the cinema.
Hoyts.
I know
Hoyts. Oh
yeah, good old Hoyts.
Red carpet.
Can't believe it.
Surprised that hasn't got more like sort of
It's so cringe. It's so cringe. I don't know. Maybe that's just the inner Essendon fan within me. Just absolutely.
That's where the hangover started.
Them. But 100%, I agree. So I anticipated a hangover from them. I didn't anticipate this sort of drop off from Brisbane. Personally, I thought Brisbane were coming in at a point to prove. They were very close to winning the flag. They were within a kick. And they sort of looked to improve the list. They got Tom Doedee, who unfortunately has torn his ACL again, which is absolutely tragic. Thoughts with him. But I did think that there was upside to them if they could take that next step and start to win away, like win at the MCG. They were really close doing it at the grand final. Thought they had the drive, but the way that they've fallen over, they've just collapsed the last couple of weeks. They haven't gone out of first gear after the first quarter. Like they start really well and then they just fall over. Yeah. And I thought the way that Carlton brought back the 46-point lead at the Gabba just doesn't happen.
Unbelievable.
It just doesn't happen.
Unbelievable.
It's pretty. What's the score?
So I'm really disappointed with Brisbane.
Oh, okay. Well, Brisbane are looking cooked at the moment.
And they're now losing 9-33 against the Pies at home. So
that's not great.
That's terrible. That's horrific. So
Bobby Hill's got 3 goals.
There you go.
Who'd be on him? Oh, Bobby Hill, Norm Smith against Brisbane.
Yeah, so that's terrible.
Brisbane are in a bit of froth and bubble if they can't win this as well. I feel like this is a must-win game for both sides, so someone has to be unlucky and lose it. But I remember the early 2024 AFL ladder segment that we did last year.
Yeah,
you all laughed at me putting Brisbane 8th.
They're not going to be 8th. They're missing the 8 this year at this rate.
You know what's funny is that all the experts did all their ladder predictions and they, like, from my perspective at least, they talked up all these teams that were supposed to be better than us, better than Essendon, maybe better than just continue a trajectory of improvement, and none of them have done it.
Yeah,
the doggies don't look any better. They don't.
No. They look
Freo are the only one that I'm
Yeah.
like, okay, 2 years ago they showed this form, and it looks like it's coming back again. They got that speed on the ball.
Yep.
They're playing really exciting brand
Despite
of football. They're
injuries as
pressure
well.
despite injuries.
Yep.
They've beaten some good teams already this year. I mean, Brisbane, but we don't know. It's hard to gauge at the moment how they're going.
They
but
look they do look cooked.
yeah,
They really do.
I wouldn't say
there's
Port Adelaide.
spark.
I wouldn't say Port Adelaide have set the house on fire.
No.
They've had
in their
two
first-
good matchups, I think.
They've had-
Who have
yeah.
they got this week?
Who's this?
Port
Port
Adelaide.
Adelaide. They got Melbourne. They're hosting Melbourne.
Well,
Okay.
that'll
that's a
sort of
more
sum
stern-
things
and
up.
that's in Adelaide, right?
Correct.
We'll get a good
we'll
gauge
see
on that.
there what happens.
Yeah.
Um,
But obviously, the two New South Wales teams have
yeah,
come
the
out on
Giants and the
fire.
Swans are playing the best
Giants
football at the moment.
the Giants have undoubtedly had an easier run to start. I mean, they played West Coast.
Yeah, very true.
They've played North. And I thought North were pretty gallant against them anyway. I don't think they blew North out of the water per se. I thought North
No, I thought North
had
played actually pretty well.
had a pretty good game in that
Yeah.
game. So maybe North aren't going to be the easy beats that people
Nah.
thought they were going to be to start the season. But still, regardless, they've got a stacked team, the Giants, and they've had a really favorable run. When we start to see them, they obviously got the bye this week, but when we start to see them matched up against tougher opposition, yeah, they beat Collingwood, but by the looks of things, doesn't appear to be that great of a feat to start the season as well. Same
Yeah.
thing with Sydney beating Collingwood. Again, it appears now, hindsight, that is not as impressive as it would have been last year, for example.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
like Sydney, for example, being Melbourne first game of the season.
That was very good.
That was very good, I
Mm.
found. So,
Beating us is
Um,
normal, I think,
yeah, that sort of
in a
thing.
shootout. Like, you're going to beat us on
I think we get a
transition.
good gauge on teams at about round 6 when everyone's had the opening bye rounds,
Yeah.
that sort of thing. We usually need 5 or 6 games worth of data to go, oh, yep, this team's good, this team's no good, that sort of thing. You can already get an early gauge on teams like, I guess, West Coast and Hawthorn. They're not going to look so strong this year, but you can get a good gauge really on Sydney. They're going to be really up there for, and yeah, we'll find out more by round 5, round 6, because it's so early in the season. So much stuff can
Or
twist
injuries
and turn.
hit,
Yeah,
like we've copped them.
Suspensions there.
Suspensions come into play.
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard
like yeah.
to jump the gun too early.
Obviously, it's going to be really interesting to see how the rest of the season plays out when it comes to the continual improvement of some surprising teams, as well as the decline of some really strong teams in the past. But it's very hard to talk about rising teams without talking about the newest team that's about to rise, literally from ground zero. Over there in Tassie, our 19th team. Mate, it's really exciting. I thought it was a really great initiative, and the logo looks wonderful.
Yeah, I really like the logo. It does look a little bit like the Mr. Beast logo, but we'll let that slide.
I never actually thought about that.
Yeah, it really
That's
does.
copyright, isn't it?
Yeah, it
Or
is.
is he the number one ticket holder?
Yeah.
We don't know.
Well,
Life member.
yeah, so really good for Tassie. So the logo, I do still like, don't get me wrong.
The Guernsey, though, overall,
One thing
because it is the traditional
It
sort
is.
of, that's what Richo was saying.
Yes.
He backed it, and even Rui said the same thing. That is the traditional Guernsey. So, of course, at least for the first few years, you'd go that, wouldn't you?
Yeah,
it's
I think so.
heritage.
One thing I did hear about, I think it was Matthew Richardson that said a couple of days later, that's actually like just the heritage jumper. They're
Yeah,
going to wear
exactly.
that once or twice a year. We haven't actually fully seen the actual jumper. I could be wrong, but Richo did say that.
It's 4 years away, right? Like
Yeah.
they've literally got 4 years to get the Guernsey
Yeah,
right.
so
Correct.
like they'd wear that for retro round or